All right, everyone. Welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. So this is for June 5th through the 11th of 2017. So before we get started, I do want to preface by saying that this is using the actual size and location of the constellations. So if you aren't used to this, what's called true Sidereal Astrology, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different from mainstream astrology, and you'll want to make sure you're watching this video for your right sign. Because what we're going to do first is look at this collectively for everyone, see what's going on this week generally, and then get into the specific signs. So down in the comments section, after we look at this general forecast, you can click your sign. It'll take you directly to your sign's segment of this video. I do recommend watching your signs for your sun sign, your moon sign, as well as your ascendant sign if you do know your time of birth. And there is a chart calculator down below for that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and have a look. Another important week, astrologically speaking. Here's the aspects going on. I think the most important context of the week is that we have a full moon, and the full moon is going to be on Friday. So as we approach Friday, I think there's more awareness, there's more insight coming in, and there could even be cultivations, a harvest time of what you've been maybe working on the past 6 months, or maybe even the past week or two during this lunar cycle. So the full moon is going to be in Ophiuchus, which is the serpent bear. This is the constellation that has to do with healing, has to do with acceptance, basically of accepting all aspects of life, all aspects of self. And this is very clearly seen by the actual constellation. So the actual constellation, the serpent bear, is an individual who is bearing a serpent. Now, what's important about this is that the person's not fighting the serpent. It's not like the dragon and mythology and things where we're fighting the serpent. And the serpent, if you look at traditional and past civilizations and what the serpent is sort of meant on a foundational level, the serpent represents all of the very earthy aspects of life. The primal, the where we come from in many ways, and how we still have many of these attributes of the human aspect of ourselves, the primal aspect of ourselves. And what's fundamentally, I think, depicted in the serpent is the ego, right? So in mythology, when the knight is fighting the dragon, this is synonymous for the aspect of ourself that is fighting the ego, or trying to be, rise above the ego. I think the mythology had good, good story about, good intention about it, in the sense of, overcoming the ego. But what the serpent bear is actually befriending the ego, you could say, working with the ego, right? Not fighting against it, because what we do resist and what we do fight against persists, right? It continues. And that's also, interestingly, in the mythology, the dragons are immortal, very strong, very powerful. But here with the serpent, with the aspects of ourself, befriending, accepting, working with these aspects of ourself and of life, which we might consider lower. These are the lower aspects of life, the aspects that are more primal, are more just about survival. Right, which is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But of course, as spiritual beings, it is about working with it. It's about becoming more aware of this aspect of ourself as we're having this physical experience here on Earth. So anyways, Ophiuchus, I'll talk more about this during the full moon report, but this is about healing. And it's essentially accepting all of these quote-unquote lower aspects of ourself, redeeming, accepting, becoming more aware of all of these quote-unquote lower aspects of self, and in the process, feeling healed as a result. So during the full moon, as we approach it, I think it could be very deep. I think things could certainly come up that are wounds, perhaps, traumas, fears. I think most fundamentally, again, fear is the response of the ego. And so as we become more aware of these inclinations, these feelings, these patterns, this karma, all of this deeper stuff, and we accept it. And I think naturally that's what happens. As we become more aware of it, we eventually accept it anyways. But if we willfully accept it, we're really getting on the right side of this full moon. And as I said, it could be very healing, very rejuvenating, very refreshing as we go through the healing process. So I think this is going to be mostly applicable around Friday, probably Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like that. And anything you can do to become more aware of these deeper aspects of yourself and accept them. Or of life, you could say, too. It's deeper aspects of life and accept them. I think really facilitates the healing process here. So it is going to be conjunct Saturn. We've already been building things in our life that are based on what has to really matter most in life. Saturn's been transiting Ophiuchus now for, I think, about a year now it's been. But even before that, it was Scorpio for a year before that. So, yeah, Saturn's helping us build the structures in our life that have to be based on, you know, what matters most and that are based on the process of healing. You know, if we're building things in our life, if we're establishing foundations in our life that aren't a true expression of who we are on a deep level, you know, don't represent, you know, the process of accepting and becoming more aware of all the aspects of ourself, then, you know, these are structures that are not being built. So they can't be built. So the only thing that can be built right now is based on the process of vulnerability with ourself and life, openness, healing, you know, and in the process, then becoming more aware of what we actually do want to build, and then building upon that. So I think this full moon could have a lot of reserve about it. I think this is about seeing the big picture in your life in terms of these structures. What are you building at this time? Doing a status check around Friday. What are you building at this time, you know, regarding the structures and foundations in your life? And is it true to your inner self, to your deep self? And does it, you know, and are you going, you know, do you have this willingness to go through all of these layers of yourself and do all of this healing? And of course, there's, you know, it's endless. There's no end point with it. It's not like we get to a certain point, we're like, oh, I did all the healing. There's always more layers of it. But are you willing to go through the process of peeling away the onion, becoming more aware of yourself on a deeper level, to accept, to be vulnerable, to be, you know, more aware of all these aspects of yourself, and in the process, I think then healing, then going through the motions of it and building these things that we do want to build, but have to be based on that, based on the truth of who we are in many ways. All right, so that's very important. It is also going to be squaring up to Neptune. There could be some confusion, uncertainty maybe, perhaps, but then there's also hopefulness with it, with a sextile up to Jupiter. So again, I'll talk about this more specifically when we get to the full moon report later this week, or depending on when you're watching this, you know, probably about 5 days or so. But yeah, this is going to be mostly involving the Saturn, about examining the structures in our life, the things we're building, and I think most fundamentally about where we can do the healing to make that happen. All right, so that's the most important thing this week, certainly, is this full moon, but we also do have, at the same time, Jupiter going direct, which is actually very nice. Jupiter's been retrograde since February. If you've been feeling like there's been some things you're redoing, rethinking in terms of opportunities in your life since then, or maybe the opportunities, whatever it might be, and we're going to look at this specifically for your chart here very soon, but generally since February, if you felt like the opportunities have been sort of on the back burner, or you've been reworking some things, you know, this could certainly start to move forward. And this is where the outward inspiration, the outward hopefulness starts to come in, because when a planet's retrograde, it's more internalized. So it's not so outward. We don't, like with Jupiter, we don't really see the opportunities generally. We're not aware of them. We're not looking at it in the external environment. So when Jupiter goes direct, all of a sudden we start to see more of the opportunities in the external environment. We're a bit hopeful, optimistic, seeing the big picture. And again, since February, if there's been anything you've been reworking on, those things can certainly start to shift forward for you, especially if it's about opportunities or the things that you do want to expand and cultivate in your life. All right, so at that same time, as Jupiter direct, as the full moon, Friday is really the concentration point here. Venus is sextiling Mars. In fact, this will be an orb for pretty much the whole week, as you can see here, which is very nice. In fact, Venus is going to be shifting into Aries around Thursday, which is very much like this. And, you know, Venus going into Aries is about passion. It's about independence. It's about a bit of wanting to attract things in our life and feeling like we can attract things in our life. And we're just more direct about doing that. Venus represents everything that's about our values, the things we want and we enjoy in life, and also relationships. So when it comes to relationships, there can certainly be a bit of passion, a bit of fire, and again, we're very clear about our personal needs in relationships, and but at the same time, we're very tactful with it, especially with the sextile up to Mars and Venus here. This aspect, very much like that. But here I think we do have the directness with what we want and who we want to connect to. And there's that fire, there's that passion, there's the yin yang, masculine, feminine coming together here. Can really spark things up in relationships, but with anything you enjoy in life. But then yet we're very tactful about it. There's no imbalance with it. If it was a square, then it might be hard to be, tactful, do the right thing while we're pursuing our personal needs, and there'd be a clash there. But this is suggesting a harmony, an opportunity here to have both the receptive and active aspects of ourself when it comes to the things we enjoy and connecting to others in our life. So very nice there, actually, especially with Venus going into Aries at the same time. I think it's really going to spark some things in our personal life, give a bit of fire in our relationships, a bit of passion and directness and a clarity of our personal needs, and again, attract all things in life that we enjoy, even on a material level, which is Venus, giving us a bit of clarity there about what we want and how to attract what we want and go after what we want in life. All right, so that's Friday. Certainly the concentration there. A couple minor things about this week is that coming into the week, Mercury is going to be squaring up to the North Node, sextiling up to Chiron. So maybe on a minor note, there's some things to challenge yourself about learning. Is there anything you can learn? Challenge yourself towards learning, or maybe with communication, or maybe with your routine, Monday and Tuesday. But I think all of that's going to be quite healing, actually. It's not a major thing, Mercury sextile Chiron, but we could just feel like we are willing to heal, and we are learning more about these deeper things in life. Chiron is the modern ruler of Ophiuchus, both having to do with healing, both having to do with redemption, of acceptance, becoming more aware of all dimensions of life. And these 2 days, I think we're just probably willing to do that, whatever capacity that means for you personally. Again, nothing major, but really good, I think, 2 days to challenge yourself in terms of learning, in terms of communication, and maybe the routine as well. All right, and then, and we also have Uranus, trining the North Node as well. This is another backdrop, nothing major, but this whole part of the year really is about freedom. And I think continuing with anything that you do feel like inspires you, excites you, and brings more freedom into your life, I think it's great to continue to learn about, continue to cultivate throughout this week. All right, so that pretty much sums it up. That's the week in a nutshell. Full moon, Friday, as we approach it. More energy, more awareness. Great week to do a status check. How's everything going with the deeper dimensions of life? With everything that is, truly, what matters most to us in life. But to connect to what matters most, we do have to go through the layers, right? We have to become more aware of all the stuff we've essentially brushed under the rug in the past, the fears, basically. All right, all this ego type of stuff, the fears, and it all comes to the surface now. And it comes to the surface for us to, accept, these wounds, to accept these things in our life, and these feelings and these fears. And it's through the acceptance that the healing really takes place. And I think it's an excellent full moon for that. All right, and then we do have the shift with Jupiter, things moving forward with the opportunities there, a bit of passion in our relationships perhaps, or with the things we enjoy in life and value in life, and maybe some learning these couple days coming into the week. All right, so now let's go and look at this for the individual signs. You can go down to the comment section and click the timestamp next to your signs, your sign there, and it'll take you directly to that segment of the video. All right, Aries, welcome to your weekly forecast. So you got a couple important things this week, I would certainly say. First of all, Mars is shifting into your third house right at the beginning of the week. In fact, you may have felt this last weekend, where I think right now with this whole cycle, I think you are focused on your values right now. Maybe it's your financial values, investments, savings, material security, things like that. But I think it's fundamentally about your self-reliance and your sense of self-worth and your natural gifts and your natural abilities and cultivating all of these inner resources in order to, yes, attain and cultivate the things you value in life. But you're certainly focused there with the sun. You got Mercury there, but you got Mars shifting into your third house. And this is a house of communication. This is a house of learning. And I think about the next month here, a lot of you are going to be very motivated to learn, to read, write, communicate, learn, in the sense of exchanging with others, perhaps, connecting with your peers, sharing information or just conversing, socializing, perhaps. Usually Gemini is not that much of a social energy, but it is about, learning and sharing ideas with others and just maybe feeling a bit communicative and quite direct, in fact, with your communication, right? So lots to learn. That's, I think, an emphasis. This will be the area next month regarding the new moon, actually this month in June, in a couple weeks, I believe. Yeah, should have a new moon there. So the new beginnings will be surfacing, but this is laying the foundation now for what motivates you, really accessing what motivates you with ideas, with learning, reading, writing. All of this can be a great motivational force. Some of you too, maybe business and trade, actually, maybe more, motivated towards that. Now this week, Venus is shifting into your sign. Very nice. You get all the planets, all the fast-moving planets out of your 12th house now officially. Venus going into your sign. You could be feeling good, looking good. Some of you might go to the salon. Some of you might get some massage, eat some good meals, enjoy things. But it's all about beauty, and it's the beauty of yourself. Yeah, maybe going shopping for some clothes or something like that. Feeling good and enjoying your self-image and who you are, and cultivating that. But also too, beauty about having more beauty around you. You may find that you're more artistic at this time, or some of you might be doing some designing, interior design, things like that. Again, enjoying good meals, enjoying the senses and all of this pleasure of life. So very nice, especially because this week we do have Venus sextiling up to your ruler Mars. So it's really emphasizing this. I think there might be an opportunity, maybe around that full moon on Friday, of bringing in a bit of this enjoyment in your life. It could be relationships related with Venus, actually. In fact, relationships could be emphasized for a lot of you now coming into this week, actually mostly shifting around Friday, but for about the next month. Really could be emphasizing that. Again, it's all part of the enjoyment there, both of your values and your relationships at this time. And there could be an opportunity, maybe Friday in particular, when your ruler sextiles Venus, to connect with either an existing relationship or, for some of you, new relationship that can be very enjoyable there. So let's talk about this full moon. We got the full moon in your 8th house. This is the house of everything deep, everything meaningful, very much like I was talking about in the collective reading. So now doing the status check this week around Friday about what you can do to really get deep, get vulnerable in life. In fact, if there was anything on that level 6 months ago that you started, whether it was a healing, whether it was psychological or spiritual, alchemical, transformational, stuff like that, now it's the status check. Now is the halfway point of where you can see, how things are going in this area, and of course, as I said in the general too, there's no end point with it. It's all about layers, but going deeper with it, going deeper with yourself, with life, accepting, healing, becoming more aware of your fears and vulnerabilities and all of this, so you can accept them and heal them, and as a result, and that could be very transformative. In fact, this is the house that is about transformation. It's also the house of letting go of past karma, past patterns, past garbage, really, that's holding you back. So usually with the full moon, it's very, it's much easier to work with it, I think, than when all the planets are there, like in the new moon, for example. This is like you just do the status check, you're becoming more aware of it, of these deeper dimensions of life, and now integrate it into your life. Integrate the vulnerability, the depth, the meaning. And so the deeper you are willing to dive, whatever's comfortable for you, it's an excellent week for that. Around Friday, there could be a transformation with this. A lot of this is likely what you may have already been working on these past couple of years with Saturn. If you have been, building and developing things that are based on healing and working hard towards that, or psychological and all that, this is really a great time to do a status check of that. And if there's been anything for those of you who've been involved with others' resources, other people's money, loans, debts, inheritance, those things are also coming ahead if it is more on that material level for you. And again, also doing the status check of how are the values going? How's the material security? And maybe some things coming ahead with the financial or material aspects of life as well. All right, now Jupiter's going direct in your 6th house. This is where the opportunities are. Maybe the opportunities have been on hold or on the back burner since February, but this is involving your work. It's involving your day-to-day activities, your routine, perhaps, anything you do on a day-to-day. And so for those of you looking for opportunity in your work or opportunity with self-improvements, that type of stuff, I think you're going to start to notice it start to shift. And for the coming months, of course, we do have to wait for Jupiter to gain some momentum, but there could be something shifting here, opportunity related regarding the 6th house. All right, so Aries, that is the week in a nutshell. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share down below. Hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. All right, Taurus, welcome to your weekly forecast. First of all, happy birthday for those of you who have your birthdays this week. But for all of you, you got the sun in your 1st house, Mercury in your 1st house. I think it's a great time to continue to focus on what you want in life, your personal needs, being direct, expressing yourself fundamentally with the sun there. Learning could be emphasized as well, or mercurial things such as communication, reading, writing, correspondence, your work perhaps, daily routine. All of that perhaps emphasized at this time. Maybe even home life and family life for some of you, since the sun does rule your 4th. But anyways, you got this full moon this week in your 7th house of relationships. In fact, collectively, it's a very relationship kind of week anyways, with all this Venus energy. But full moon here. So if there's anything new that started in the relationship side of things 6 months ago, whether it was a new perspective shift about relationships or quite literally a new relationship, or a new twist to an existing relationship, and we're talking all partnerships, friendships, romantic, the whole sphere here. But now it's a high point. All right, it's this perhaps cultivation of these things, harvest of these things. But fundamentally, I think a status check. And I think for all of you, this is really what it's about. Around Friday, doing the status check of the relationship side of your life. How's it going? Because you've had Saturn in this area for the past 2 years, and Saturn's been helping you really get grounded with relationships, and it can feel limiting too with Saturn, but usually we're wanting to limit. In other words, we're wanting only relationships that are real and stable and grounded, and we're just more serious about them at this time. So if you've been patient here in this area with relationships, if you've been working hard in the sense of discipline, patient, responsible with this area, you're going to find that this is now a great time to do a status check of that side of it. How is that going? How are these this long-term perspective going with your relationships? And for those of you who have been building solid relationships, how's that going as well? Steady, slow, Saturn, responsible, yes, but also long-lasting and grounded and stable, which is really what the benefit is of Saturn in the 7th house, really solidifying this area for you. So great to do that status check generally, but yes, certainly a harvest for some of you there, and just insight about relationships around Friday. So Friday being the crux day here, Jupiter going direct in your 5th house. A lot of you, this is also about self-expression, romance, creativity, children, perhaps. So if those types of things have been on the back burner lately since February, You've been rethinking things that you're either passionate about, you're interested in, or you consider your self-expression. That's all starting to shift. And I think it'll take some time with Jupiter to gain some momentum, but there could be a shift around Friday of something new involving fifth house stuff that could be very nice. It's opportunity, it's hopefulness, it's inspiration. And it is a great house to have that, because it is the house of fun, playfulness, and again, everything close to our heart and everything we create in life as well. All right, so that's the shift there. Venus sextiling Mars, so your ruler. Let's talk about your ruler, actually, because on Friday, Venus goes into your 12th house. She likes to be in the 12th house, mind you. So this is where there is a shift, I think, to your relationships, but maybe with some other areas too, probably your work, but most fundamentally with you. I think you're wanting to maybe get some rest now for about the next month, Friday onward, or you're just more receptive about things, okay? And easygoing probably. And again, it could be involving with your work, your day-to-day work, as well as relationships. So whatever that means for you, I think it's an excellent next roughly month to, yes, take it easy, enjoy maybe the serendipity in the relationships, allow things to kind of flow there. Let go of everything outside of your control. Just kind of, go with the flow, as they say, with the things you enjoy, if it's not just relationships, with your work, and just fundamentally with you. And I think you'll find this to be a very peaceful, very tranquil, and probably very spiritually liberating, actually, time for you with your ruler going through that 12th house. All right, so those are the most important things. But that Venus does sextile up to Mars. So, lately, maybe since last weekend, but definitely this week now, I think you are very motivated towards the material aspects of life, whether it's investments, savings, material security, or anything you value on a material level. That's where the motivation and drive is, which is great. So you got that going on all week. But the Mars sextiling Venus, Venus being your ruler, means you could be quite direct this week. Again, probably around Friday in particular. Seeing where you can just enjoy things in this relaxing, more tranquil way, but yet, especially with Venus and Aries, still go after the things you want in life. Take action. Maybe the action is actually quite tranquil for you, in fact. There's a bit of passion, a bit of spice in your life. Mars is your 7th house ruler of relationships too, so it's emphasizing that also. All right, but maybe even too with your work. Maybe some passion, some active energy there. Could be, helping you enjoy your work or connect to it again in that more receptive way. All right, so Taurus, that's the week in a nutshell. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share it down below. Wishing you all the very best, and I will see you all next week. Take care. All right, Geminis, welcome to your weekly forecast. So first things first, you got Mars going into your 1st house. So I think right now is a deep time. I think it's a spiritual time. I think with all this energy in your 12th house, this whole lunar cycle is really about you finding spiritual peace in life, letting go of everything outside of your control, maybe cultivating your spiritual life in the sense of meditation, yoga, prayer, spiritual activities, or maybe you're just learning a lot more about yourself psychologically at this time. What is preventing you, you could say, from having full acceptance, and through that acceptance, finding peace. Fundamentally, is what the 12th house is about, is finding peace and even bliss, I would say, with the 12th being the last house of the chart. It's where we come full circle back around to letting everything go and finding the bliss of that, much like the Buddhic teachings. So anyways, but maybe you're just working behind the scenes, maybe you're just getting some rest, whatever it is, really good there for that more receptive stuff. With that being said, though, Mars going into your 1st house at this time makes you very direct. You'll likely notice this week if you haven't already noticed it last weekend. Very direct, very motivated perhaps, very clearer in terms of what you want in life and how to go after the things you want in life. And anything that does require initiation, action, drive, confidence, you've got that on your side. So channeling that into, again, whatever motivates you, whatever you're driven towards is excellent at this time. Could even be emphasizing friends for you for about the next month, with Mars ruling your 11th house. In fact, Venus is going into your 11th, which we'll talk about. So it could be emphasizing friends, network circles, maybe community, or maybe you're just very aspired at this time. So yes, cultivate that aspiring side of yourself. Your routine could be emphasized as well, or your work for the next month also. So let's talk about this Venus. Venus going into the 11th. This is the house of aspirations and the house of your network circles. So great things to enjoy here, especially with Venus sextiling up to Mars this week. There's a good synergy between that directness I'm talking about and these aspirations of yours that you can take action towards more certainly, but also attract to you and enjoy the process of those aspirations, but also with your network circles, right? So enjoying some connections there, enjoying a bit of community or whatever that is. And yeah. And I think you're motivated towards that as well. Can be very direct with that area of your life. And there could be maybe an opportunity or something new surfacing around Friday regarding that. It could also be regarding your work, it's possible, and maybe your self-expression, feeling quite creative or expressive around Friday there. All right, so that's the placements. In terms of the full moon, you know, the most fundamental thing about this week on Fridays, you got a full moon in your 6th house of your work and your day-to-day activities. So it's a great time to do a status check with this. How's this area going? A lot of you have been working really hard over the past couple of years involving your routine or your work or your craft or whatever that is, or generally just with things that involve finding solutions, problems, fixing things, you know, but fundamentally I think it's about your self-improvement and the improvement of your life. But anyways, doing a status check here and what you can do to continue to, you know, be patient with this area, work hard towards that, which is Saturn, and build it all one step at a time, because pretty soon Saturn's going to be making his way to the top of the chart, and you're going to start to see a lot more recognition perhaps for your hard work, if it is, you know, work related or career related. Start to get a little more recognition for that, a little bit more, you know, seeing the fruits of your labor there. So that's around the corner, and you know, off and on for about the next year as Saturn goes into Sagittarius. But right now, do the status check. What can you continue to, what's working that you can continue to cultivate involving your work, your routine, your day-to-day activities. Now, Jupiter's going direct at the same time on Friday. Lots shifting that day, and this is involving your home, your location for some of you, your health or family as well. Health is another big thing of the 4th house. So if you've been rethinking, or if these matters have been on the back burner since February, this all starts to shift. It all starts to move forward for you. Here this week, give it some time. Of course, Jupiter still has to gain his momentum, but that's where the opportunities will be now for the coming months in terms of expanding with essentially your roots in life, whether it's your home, whether it's your health, but that's where the opportunities are. So being aware of that and cultivating them is fantastic with Jupiter direct. All right, so Geminis, that is the week in a nutshell. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comments, and share down below. Wishing you all the very best, and I will see you all next week. Take care. All right, Cancers, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's look at the lunar cycle, of course. Your ruler of the moon is forming a full moon here on Friday. So as you go through the week, you'll notice that your energy's gaining, becoming more aware of things in your life. You know, there's insights, there's awareness, and it's a harvest time. And I think what a lot of it is about your self-expression. All right, you've had Saturn in your 5th house the past couple of years, really helping you take seriously and ground and be limiting, you know, responsible with the things you're either passionate about or you create in life. Okay, so this is everything from romance, children, creative projects, anything that is, again, you're interested in or sparks that inner flame. So this is where things get, it's been maybe more about serious things, or there's been limitation with these things the past couple years. But now you get this status check. You get this full moon. You can now sort of evaluate this area, see this area, and you'll notice some things are coming ahead this week. Some things are harvesting, which is great, which is again about the long-term enjoyments here, the long-term self-expression. And what you can now do moving forward to continue to cultivate these things, whatever it is for you personally there. All right, so an excellent week for that, and just a status check in general about what it is that sparks that inner flame, what it is you're passionate about, and how you can continue to build that stuff one step at a time there. All right, so that's the full moon, but at the same time, we got Jupiter going direct. He's in your third house of learning and communication. For those of you who've maybe since February been re-editing some things, relearning some things, or if learning and communication have been on the back burner since then, that all starts to shift and move forward for you here this week. So give it time. Of course, Jupiter does need to gain his momentum, but maybe around Friday, something's shifting with some opportunity to learn, to read, to write, to communicate, to share with others, maybe connect with your peers or your community in some sense. And I think that's a big part of what this whole cycle is about too. Your network circles, actually. You've got this whole cycle, the Sun and Mercury in your 11th house. Really good time to be connecting with friends or your network circles. That's how you're gaining energy right now. That's what you're thinking about more than likely with Mercury there. And if it's not social like that, maybe it's about your aspirations, actually. So this is the house of our future hopes and wishes. And so there's also a high point with that this week, status check. But continuing to cultivate those things, focus on your aspirations. That's that's a source of energy for you, and what's unlocking your mental, that learning of yours right now at the moment, which again is really where the opportunities are moving forward for the coming months here, to learn, to inquire, to understand things, and really get into your practical learning of things, and learning more about communication or language, things like that. So that's the shift there. Mars is in your 12th house. He's there since last weekend, so he's there all week. You could be finding that even though it's about aspirations, it's about self-expression, it's about learning, all of this more airy and fiery stuff, you're likely noticing that there's this watery energy about maybe you're getting things done in a bit more of a receptive way at this time. Sometimes when we go after the things we want in life, the best thing to do is not to go into it head on. Sometimes we do have to be receptive and listen and see where life is taking us, and then put energy into that. Or another way of looking at it is exerting the least amount of energy possible, right? Seeing that there is a flow, and we can find that flow and sort of, put energy where it's easier, not easier, but just where there's least amount of energy. So we're reserving our energy. We're keeping our energy intact. So very much what I like to think of the 12th house and Mars is like a spiritual warrior, someone who does get things done, but in a way that's very, present, like a samurai or a Jedi, right? Very present, very aware of the now moment, and exerting the least amount of energy to get the most done. So you may be finding that also great for probing deeper into your psychology, into the, yourself, in terms of where you can have more peace in your life through acceptance, and and that type of stuff. But Mars is very good, very well aspected this week, sextiling up to Venus. So you could find a lot of this quite easy, in fact. And Venus shifting into your 10th house around Friday, it does give you, I think, a bit of enjoyment with your career, actually. A lot of you will start to notice that you're enjoying connecting to your career. Some of you may be forming some relationships through your career. And there's that fiery, passionate energy with Mars going into that sextile there. So I think you've got both the easygoingness available, which again I think is coming easier this week with all these, with Mars being well aspected. So you got the easygoingness, and then you've also got this sort of, I think, wanting to achieve, to, again, it's aspiring like the 11th house, but this might be specifically about your career, your productive life, achievement, success, notoriety, that kind of thing. And you could be enjoying that type of stuff. Could be good for attracting things in your career, even income, finances is quite possible. but also relationships as well, meeting others through whatever it is you might consider your productive life or your public life. All right, so Cancers, that is the week generally. Let me just make sure I've talked about everything. Yep, so the full moon is in your 5th house. Great time to do a status check with your self-expression. Everything close to the heart, everything you create in life or you're passionate about. Slow and steadily, right? Saturn's still here. It's conjunct Saturn. It's a reminder that this stuff is meant for right now, building it for the long term, being patient with it, and but at the same time, continue to take steps in that direction. Things moving forward for you for learning, reading, writing, communication, Jupiter going direct, practical knowledge, excellent. This whole cycle is about your aspirations, continuing to focus on those, or your network circles. Very good source of energy. Maybe feeling a bit of the receptive energy of the 12th house, kicking your feet up, or learning more about yourself psychologically. That's how you unlock your motivation and drive right now. And then enjoying maybe some of the career productive life and maybe connecting with others in that sphere as well. All right, so Cancer, have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your support. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comment section for that. But wishing you all the very best, and I will see you all next time. Take care. All right, Leos, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's have a look first at your ruler, the sun, who's up at the top of the chart. I think a lot of you are focused on your career goals at this time, or whatever you do on a productive level. Maybe your legacy, future achievements, successes, things like that. All this is invigorating you. It's giving you energy. Your mind's likely on all this more productive or big picture stuff. And you got Mars and the sun at the top of the chart. So your energy levels are likely quite good, and especially during a full moon sort of week. Now, with that being said, though, the full moon, of course, opposite the 10th is the 4th, and this is a more watery area. This is the area that has to do with home, with family, with your health, and location for some of you. So it's, first of all, doing a status check with these things. I think it's an excellent week to do that. How is the home front, your location? How is your health? Because I think a lot of this you've been taking very seriously, or maybe it's felt quite limiting these past couple of years with Saturn transiting your 4th house. But the purpose of it has been so you can really stabilize and build and ground your roots, right? Home, health, things like this. Take this stuff seriously, but be patient with it. Take it one step at a time. So do a status check with that and see how it's going, what you can continue to do to take steps in those direction, whatever it is for you personally, and then, you know, just be patient with it and understand that this is for the long-term enjoyments and the long-term stability of these roots in your life. So along with that, though, it's also a cultivation. So if you did start anything new involving your home or your family or health 6 months ago, it's now the high point with that, and there can certainly be some cultivations with it. And as I said, with whatever does cultivate, whatever you're harvesting at this time with that, great to continue to implement moving forward for the next 6 months of the cycle. All right, so along with that, Jupiter's going direct in your 2nd house of finances and investments and savings, and essentially with your sense of self-worth and your self-reliance. So this is an inspiring area, usually where we feel like, yes, we can cultivate the things we enjoy in life, but Jupiter's been retrograde. And so since February, if you felt like more of these opportunities with material stuff, or even with your sense of self-worth, has been on a back burner, or you're redoing it, you've been relearning about it, rethinking it, it all starts to move forward now. Give it time, of course. Jupiter's got to gain momentum, very slow moving planet, but there is the shift. And there could be, oftentimes with the direct energy, that point of directness can shift something. So there could be, for some of you, some financial opportunity, or you're getting just new bit of inspiration here, because Jupiter gives us the opportunity because we're looking at it, we're looking for it, we're a bit more inspired, and because we're inspired in this area, we do see the opportunities that present themselves. So if you do feel that shift, fantastic. It's part of a much larger cycle for the next coming months of you really expanding the things you truly value in life, and also where you can have a bit of material security. And I do recommend saving too, with Jupiter being grounded with this, because sometimes the money can go out as fast as it comes in. So obviously, if this is about material security, it's really good to take the grounded approach through saving, smart investing, things like that. All right, so that's the Jupiter direct. What else we got? We got Mars, who's been in your 11th house since last weekend. If you felt that shift of maybe being more motivated and driven towards your friends or your network circles, or maybe just more aspiring lately, feeling like, yes, you can put motivation and energy into your future hopes and wishes. So that's where the energy is all week. Really good, especially with Mars sextiling Venus around Friday. Maybe some connections there with your friends, that kind of a thing. Maybe it's with home, and maybe there's some aspirations about home you might have for some of you. Maybe there's some aspirations about travel, actually, or expanding your horizons, or philosophy, things like that. So all of that is where there could be an opportunity with those things, but I think you're just feeling easygoing about it. You're feeling a bit of the attraction there with Venus, just giving you a receptive approach, but you're taking action towards it. So you got a good balance with yin and yang energy involving those things. Venus in the 9th means you can enjoy a bit of adventurousness in your life. Now for about the next month, you'll feel this shift on Friday of enjoying, maybe going for walks, hikes. Some of you may be doing some traveling, or connecting with others abroad, perhaps maybe through the internet or something like that. And maybe for some of you, maybe it's philosophy, spirituality, higher learning, university. For some of you, enjoying all of that stuff can be fantastic. And again, there's really good positive support for a lot of that stuff. All right, maybe even hopeful about your career, actually. Venus is your 10th house ruler in the 9th. Usually we start to see some career opportunities present themselves as well when the ruler of the 10th is in the 9th. All right, so that is the week in a nutshell. Leo, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share down below. Wishing you all the very best week, and I will see you all next time. Take care. All right, Virgo, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's have a look at this full moon first. You got a full moon in your 3rd house. This is the house of learning, of communication, of reading, writing, exchanging, sometimes business and trade. So if there's been anything in this area over the past 6 months, maybe a new course for some of you, or some of you maybe started something new with business, or about learning of like maybe communication or practical things. This all comes ahead at this time. Could be a harvest time for you involving these matters, but most fundamentally, it's a status check. And I think the status check is fundamentally the fact that the past 2 years, this area has been quite limiting. All right, you've had Saturn in your 3rd house. Some of you are maybe working really hard and practical knowledge and reading and writing and that kind of thing. Others maybe with your communication, others with correspondence, business stuff perhaps. So this is the status check, is how is this going? How can you continue to be patient here? It's about limiting ourselves, right, in terms of discipline, patience, taking things one step at a time. But through that process, and for the next 6 months now, as you shift with this full moon, continuing to yes, develop anything that does involve your mind, does involve communication, and that everyday sort of sphere, everything in your immediate environment that's sort of busy, synergy related there. All right, so that full moon is opposite, of course, this whole cycle of your ninth house. So even though this is emphasizing the practical stuff, I think a lot of you are very expansive right now. I think seeing the big picture, that's how you're gaining energy, maybe adventurous. But when it comes to ideas, maybe philosophical, theoretical, spiritual, when it's about spiritual teachings and wisdom for some of you, gurus. But ninth house is also adventure in the sense of travel, connecting abroad, things like that. So that's the sorts of energy for you, especially because your ruler's in the ninth house as well, really emphasizing this. And there could be a status check of how's that going? How can you balance both the practical and the possible? All right, the immediate stuff that's more about what you're building in life, the structures, more the responsibility, yet continue to expand your horizons, think big, and tap into a bit of that spirit for life. All right, so that's the full moon. Jupiter's going direct in your sign. Very nice, actually. A lot of you have been feeling, probably about, I think it's been about 9 months now, feeling quite adventurous, right? Or a bit inspired. But lately, maybe since February, it's been on the back burner. Maybe some of the opportunities that were there before February, involving you expanding your horizons, tapping into a bit of that adventurousness in your life. There's something shifting now with this. And it could be on Friday, but give it time. Jupiter's got to gain momentum for the coming months, but that's where the opportunities are. Where can you expand? Where can you think big? Think big, see the potentials in your life. And I think, too, really claim your independence, because the first house is the house of independence and what we want in life and our personal needs. And so Jupiter here expands all that and gives you a lot of wisdom about that. So there could be something shifting with you where you're feeling a bit more direct and clear about who you are, what you want in life, and how to cultivate those goals of yours. And maybe opportunities with that, with the Jupiter direct. And that's all happening at the same time as the full moon on Friday. All right, so along with that, Mars has been in your 10th house since last weekend. So if you felt a shift towards maybe more motivated towards your career, your productive life, you got that going for you. There's a lot of energy with that, especially with a good harmony with Venus this week around Friday. Maybe an opportunity there. But Venus is going into your 8th. So when it comes to your relationships and when it comes to the things you enjoy in life, I think you're probably wanting to connect to more on the deeper side of things. All right, so for about the next month, it's really good to, yes, get deeper in your relationships. If you're guided to, whatever's comfortable for you there, vulnerable in your relationships, open, building trust, connecting on that deeper level. And not just with the relationships, but just with life in general, enjoying this. Now, Venus, when she goes into a house, it actually lifts up that house because she's a benefic, makes it a bit enjoyable. So you could actually be enjoying this, enjoying the depth, even diving deep with yourself psychologically, but also maybe research, uncovering hidden things in life, and just really connecting to what's normally hidden. And lifting up the rug, being aware of that, whether it's in your life, in your relationships, or with things in general like your work or research or whatever that is. Yeah, that's where the enjoyment is. And Venus is, very well aspected in this location, and she's forming that good sextile to Mars around Friday. So it's certainly synergizing it. And in fact, some of the depth that you are uncovering or wanting to uncover at this time could really facilitate your career, could even facilitate your communication and learning and all that stuff we talked about before. All right. Okay, and even finances too. Venus does rule your second house of finances. So some of you might be emphasizing shared resources for about the next month. I think enjoying that, or developing how you can have a bit of interdependency in your relationships, both on a emotional level, but maybe for some of you on a physical level as well. All right, so Virgos, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share down below. Wishing you all the very best week, and I will see you all next week. Take care. All right, Libras, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's have a look here at this full moon. First things first, I would say. We have a full moon in your second house of finances or resources or investments, essentially your material security in life. So for all of you, I think it's a fantastic time to do this status check. How's this area going? And it's been limiting, I think, for the past couple of years because you've had Saturn in the second house. So it is about saying that this is about a long-term thing here, right? That Saturn's been helping you discipline yourself, perhaps, so to speak, or you've been feeling more disciplined, more patient, hopefully involving your material life, your material security, and taking the steps one step at a time to cultivate, more material security in the long term, in the big picture. So doing a status check with that, seeing the big picture with this area, staying responsible, staying grounded, taking things one step at a time. And I think you'll find that, through this process, yes, you are cultivating this area, but it is, it does take time with Saturn, and it does take patience and responsibility there. So great for that. But also too, if you did start anything 6 months ago involving finances or investments, those things could be coming ahead at this time. Certainly possible for some of you. And so it is harvest with this. And I think also too, fundamentally for all of you, is harvesting your sense of self-reliance, your self-worth, your self-efficacy, the belief that, yes, you can cultivate your values, the things you enjoy in life, but again, taking it one step at a time. So that's the full moon, and this is all basically concentrated in the fact that right now is a deep time for a lot of you Libras. It is about matters relating to life and death, beginnings and endings, transformation, learning more about yourself psychologically, with traumas, fears, breaking patterns. That's where your Sun and Mercury is transiting in your 8th house. So doing that work, right? And I think there's also a high point this week with that work as well, if you've started that about a week or two ago, depending on when you're watching this, involving, yes, the deeper dimensions, right? Connecting to what matters most in life, but to do that, getting vulnerable with life, getting deeper, understanding more about what are some patterns we can break that are preventing us from really evolving and growing and cultivating the things we truly value and truly want in life. Because it's the fears and all of that that really do create those patterns and those cycles that as we become more aware of our fears and accept them, essentially, when we're no longer afraid, that the fear no longer has control over us, then that's when we really break the cycle and make the transformations and changes. And I think that's all what's going on for you throughout this time, which is fantastic. As a result, you're transforming, you're becoming freer, and again, connecting to life in a more deeper way, you could say. All right, so that's the full moon. Jupiter is going direct in your 12th house. This is also a water house. This has to do with spirituality of the most fundamental sense of finding peace in life, maybe getting some rest, relaxation, things like that. But Jupiter's been retrograde. So since February, if you felt like some of the opportunities with spirituality or some of the opportunities with rest in your life and all that have been more on the back burner, that all starts to shift and move forward for you. Now starting to, it takes time with Jupiter, but slowly around Friday onward, and maybe on Friday, something shifting, some new opportunity to where, yes, you can cultivate your spiritual life. You can cultivate peace in your life, tranquility. Again, understand more about yourself on a deep psychological level. This is the part of the chart which is like the unconscious, okay? And the unconscious, going into that, you could say. But it's all very positive. Jupiter's expanding this area, helping you see opportunities with all this so that you can fundamentally find more peace and true bliss, true happiness in life, which is really what the 12th house is. And it's very much like the Buddhic teachings where it's about really, acceptance and presence, and that leading to spiritual liberation and spiritual bliss. So that's all great. That's expanding for you there with Jupiter. You got Mars in your 9th house, though. I think a lot of you are motivated maybe towards philosophies, ideas, wisdom when it's spiritual. Some of you higher learning. Others maybe adventure, travel, going for walks, maybe expanding your horizons. That's really supportive, actually. Mars is sextiling Venus this week, so that's good. Lifting up that area. I think you all do have probably quite a bit of connection with your relationships, actually, this week, because you do have Venus going into your 7th house of relationships here Friday onward. So for about the next month from Friday, probably enjoying your relationships. Maybe some new ones, but also your existing ones as well. Just feeling a bit connected And of course, this is your ruler we're talking about, so it could really emphasize this area for you. And I think it's just great to enjoy everyone you have in your life, and maybe meet some new people and form some new relationships and enjoy that whole process there, especially with Venus sextiling Mars again. That's giving positive support where you've got the directness, the independence, and all of that. Very strong passion even too, perhaps, with those one-to-one connections. All right, so Libras, hope you all have a fantastic week. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share it down below. Share your experiences too, if you'd like to help with the community so we can all understand how we're all feeling this. But yeah, thank you again, and wishing you all the very best, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Scorpio and Ophiuchus, welcome to your weekly forecast. So full moon in your first house, depending on whether you're watching this for your sun sign, your moon sign, your ascendant. It's the first house here, and this is now an awareness time for both of you about what it is that you're cultivating in life fundamentally. It's a status check of your overall life. It's a status check of you, and if there is anything from over the past 6 months that you did start, which is the new moon in your first house at that time. But anything new since then, past 6 months fundamentally in your life, now it's a great time to do this status check with it. All right, how are things going involving the things you want, involving your independence perhaps, and involving learning more about yourself and becoming more aware of yourself in general. So that's where the awareness is. That insight is certainly coming into the picture. But the full moon is going to be conjunct Saturn, as a sort of reminder that the past couple of weeks, there's been this perhaps, limitation or feeling like, yes, these things that we want to cultivate in life, our goals and things like this, they take time, and we're really developing the patience and the persistence and the responsibility here, hopefully assuming some healthy responsibilities here. So it's a status check with that. And, seeing the big picture with these things and just taking it one step at a time, being patient at this time, but now moving forward for the next 6 months of how you can continue to develop and continue to cultivate these general things in your life, whether they're your goals, the things you want, and again, your independence, right? Standing on your own 2 feet, going after the things you truly enjoy in life. So that's the full moon there, and this is all emphasizing relationships for you, in fact, because you do have the Sun and Mercury in your 7th. This whole cycle has been about relationships, so things are also coming ahead on a short-term sense, involving any new things or new perspectives you've had about relationships during the new moon about a week or 2 ago, depending on when you're watching this. And so that's the source of energy. I think a lot of you are gaining energy through your one-to-one connections right now. There's good communication there, learning perhaps through them. And yeah, very good for just now continuing to, really balance the fact that this is an awareness of you and your personal needs, and how you can incorporate that with your relationships, right? Because of course our relationships do need us to be clear on who we are, what we want, right? Independent, and vice versa. In order to cultivate the things we want in life and to really enjoy life, we of course do have to have relationships, and relationships do have to be healthy in our life as well. So it's a balance of both and a cultivation of both, and an insight of both this week around Friday. So Jupiter is going direct. He's direct in your 11th house. A lot of you for about the past 9 months have been feeling maybe inspired towards future things, future hopes and wishes, about your aspirations in life, maybe about your network circles, community, friends. This is where the opportunities are. But since February, Jupiter has been retrograde. So more than likely since February, a lot of this has been on the back burner, or you're having to modify these things, your aspirations, network circles related stuff. And so now it all starts to go external. It all starts to shift and move forward here around Friday. Give it time, of course, but there could be something shifting here where now there's this, seeing of the external opportunities to connect with your friends, your network circles, whatever that is, your community there. and also to cultivate your aspirations, what it is you hope for and wish for in the future, because that is where the opportunities will be for the coming months. All right, now speaking on your ruler Mars, Mars is in your 8th house, so it is a deep time for you, for a lot of you, but I think it's in a positive way. Maybe since last weekend, for those of you who have been feeling like you want to connect to life on a deeper level. Maybe some of you are getting deeper in your relationships. But whatever it is, I think really, yes, becoming more aware of, especially with this full moon in Ophiuchus and Scorpio, this is your house, becoming more aware of the deeper aspects of life in general and of yourself. And as I was saying in the general, doing the acceptance and the healing and all that, which can be very transformative. I normally wouldn't say that in the 1st house, but because Mars, your ruler, is in the 8th, it's really emphasizing transformation, emphasizing breaking some patterns, becoming aware of some fears, accepting the fears so they no longer have control over us, fully accepting the fear, the worst case scenario, whatever. And then that frees us up, that transforms us. And then also too, diving deep with yourself in the sense of traumas, fears, psychological stuff, all of this, so you can transform. It's going to be a very, through this process, a lot of you are going to be liberating yourself. And certainly this week or on Friday could certainly be like that for a lot of you. But liberating yourself, healing yourself, feeling more rejuvenated and transformed as a result. Now, Venus is going into your 6th house of work and routine here on Friday. So you could be enjoying that area of life for about the next month. Yeah, enjoying some of that. So whether it's your daily work, whether it's your routine, your health, your diet, your regimens, good stuff to enjoy there. And Mars sextiling up to Venus does give you a bit of synergy with those day-to-day activities as well. Maybe even relationships as well. Venus does rule your 7th house. So again, emphasizing that, maybe a bit of passion there, some opportunity maybe, but you've got both the directness as well as the tactful, receptive energy, yin and yang with Mars and Venus. In fact, you could be feeling good, looking good, and attractive, as we all are, of course, but actually cultivating that, connecting with that, and, just continuing to develop all these one-to-one connections, which are being emphasized for you. All right, so Scorpio and Ophiuchus, hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you again for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. Let me know if you have any questions down below, but wishing you my very best, and I will see you all next time. Take care. All right, Sagittarius, welcome to your weekly forecast. So I would say the most important thing for you this week is that your ruler Jupiter is going direct. If you felt like since February things have been on the back burner, or you've been reworking, rethinking some things in your life in general, and maybe a lot of that pertaining to your career, your productive life, maybe some of your home or your health, but fundamentally all areas of your life because it is your ruler. That all starts to shift and move forward now. So now you're coming out of, do give it time, of course, because Jupiter has to gain momentum, but you're coming out of a more internalized reworking time, and you'll start to feel probably a little bit more, like expanding your horizons, being open-minded, all of that stuff that's very natural for you Sagittarians. With that being said, though, this is a very spiritual time, or at least we'll say a spiritual full moon, actually. So around Friday, you got a full moon in your 12th house. This is the house of spirituality, what I call spirituality, which is essentially finding peace in life and learning more about your beingness, being in life, and through that presence and acceptance and surrender, and through that finding tranquility and peace. So this is all being expanded upon. The full moon is going to give you awareness about the spiritual dynamic of your life, of your beingness, of where you can have peace, rest perhaps. And it's all involving Saturn, because Saturn's been in your 12th house for the past 2 years, really helping you take this stuff seriously. And maybe it's been limiting. Maybe it's been hard to relax or, find peace or, whatever that is. So, but Saturn is helping you really ground it, really put in the work and the patience, especially, and the time to do this. So it's a great status check with the full moon to see how you can continue to take slow and steady, grounded steps towards cultivating this peace, tranquility, spiritual time in your life, working behind the scenes, alone time perhaps for some of you, that kind of a thing. And that's gonna facilitate all areas of life. In fact, this whole cycle is really about your routine. It's about your work, your day-to-day activities. That's where the Sun and Mercury are in your 6th house. So in order to have good, healthy routine, good, healthy work, day-to-day life, we do have to, of course, have rest and find peace and have acceptance in our life. Let go of everything outside of our control, right? And that's what's happened. That's sort of what this is like, is balancing the two. That your work, day-to-day life perhaps needs some of this acceptance and spiritual time, alone time, rest perhaps. And then also too, maybe putting in some of this work to cultivate your spiritual life, such as meditation, yoga, spiritual activities are just some examples. All right, so very nice full moon there. And I don't think it's going to be lingering. Full moon's kind of like maybe Thursday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, Friday definitely, and then Saturday, Sunday after that, of just this now awareness about the importance of having peace and spiritual time out in life. But things certainly continue to move forward, I think, for you with your work, your routine, whatever new has started there about a week or two ago, depending on when you're watching this. And speaking of the work, Jupiter's going direct in your 10th house of career. So around Friday, there could certainly be some things moving forward for you involving your career, your productive life, your achievements, successes in life. Again, for some of you, maybe home or health-related stuff moving forward. But yeah, very nice there. That's where the opportunities will be for the coming months to expand with everything productive, big picture in your life there. Now, you've had Mars in your 7th house of relationships since last weekend. So a lot of you are very direct in your relationships at this time, feeling very motivated there, perhaps, driven, and that's a motivating force for you. So I think it's a great time right now to be connecting with your relationships, new and existing ones, especially because Mars is sextiling up to Venus. So there's some good energy there involved with that. In fact, Venus is going into your 5th house of self-expression on Friday. So Friday's where everything's shifting. And what you'll likely notice from Friday for about the next month after that is this, this enjoying of having a bit of fun in your life, or expressing yourself, or playful, or romantic. There's sort of passionate energy about really just expressing ourselves. And that can be very enjoyable for you, whatever the medium might be, whether it's relationships, whether it's creative, anything close to your heart, spending time with those things close to your heart. And yeah, very good energy for that. Okay, but I think for a lot of you, it is relationship related, actually. All right, so that is the week in a nutshell. Sagittarius, hope you have a fantastic week. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share down below. But sending you all my very best, and I will see you all next time. Take care. Capricorns, welcome to your weekly forecast. So full moon conjunct your ruler Saturn in the 11th house this week on Friday. So all that means essentially that I think the past couple years, a lot of you have been maybe working hard towards your aspirations, everything that you hope for and wish for in the future, building that patiently, slow and steadily. Some of you involving your community or your network circles or your friends, maybe some of you involving technological things, innovative things, whatever that emphasis has been the past 2 years. Now you got a full moon conjunct your ruler here, really illuminating this area. And I think that's fundamentally what it's about. It's the status check of now saying, okay, how is everything going with these aspirations? How is everything going with your network circles? And how's everything going with you fundamentally? Because again, it's conjunct your ruler. So it illuminates you. It illuminates you. It illuminates everything you want in life, where you want to go, what your goals are, long-term and short-term goals. And so just an excellent time to do the status check, and even in many ways, a harvest time. If you felt that you have specifically started something new about 6 months ago at the beginning of the year that had to do with your goals, had to do with your aspirations, and had to do with network circles or community, this is now a harvest of that time period, the past 6 months. So see how things have cultivated to a degree in this area, but understand too, this is all about a big picture, right? As you always do, Capricorn, big picture, Saturn, and just take it all one step at a time. Continue to take those steps and build this stuff for the long term, the big picture here. So a lot of this is in regards to your self-expression. That's where the energy is. I think it's still an excellent week to have some fun in your life, express yourself, create, connect to anything you're passionate about, that you find interesting also. But express yourself fundamentally. That's where the energy is. That's where the life force is. That's where your mind's at, actually. And this could also be a status check of that, or a high point and a harvest too, around Friday, about everything that you do find fun, interesting, and again, it's close to your heart there. All right, so that's the full moon. And in terms of Jupiter, Jupiter's going direct in your 9th house. So a lot of you are starting to shift and move forward with anything you've been reworking or rethinking involving philosophy, university, higher learning, or maybe travel, long distance matters, abroad related stuff. Because Jupiter retrograde, more of that's more internal, right? So since February, if you've been reworking, rethinking that stuff, now it all starts to shift and move forward. So there's going to be continued opportunities here for the coming months for you to expand your horizons. That might be mentally, which is through higher learning, might be spiritually, through your philosophy and wisdom, but also maybe quite literally for a lot of you through your travel, adventure, or connecting abroad, whatever that means for you personally. So great opportunities for that, great, continued months for that, and you could find a shift around Friday regarding those things. All right, now looking at Mars. Mars is in your 6th house, I think, since last weekend. A lot of you have maybe been more driven towards your work, whatever you do on a daily level, your routine, time management, energy management, self-improvements maybe for some of you. So all that is a great source of energy continuing this week. And Mars is actually in very good aspect to Venus, so it's really giving some positive energy for those matters. And a lot of it's involving your home, in fact, or your location, or your health, in the sense that Venus on Friday is going into your 4th house. So I think a lot of you can start to really enjoy your home life, family life perhaps, your health. You could be enjoying, you're just feeling maybe good emotionally, or, relatively speaking, and then also with your health, just feeling good perhaps. But enjoying the personal aspects of life, actually. The 4th house is fundamentally your personal life. And so you could be enjoying that. Venus is your planet of self-expression, and maybe even too, with your career or your work, enjoying a bit of personal time there with that area also. All right, so these 2 houses are in good synergy: home, personal life, and your work and routine. So around Friday, maybe some opportunities with that, or you're just feeling some good energy, but yet also, enjoyment with those things. All right, so Capricorns, that's the week in a nutshell. To sum this up, a full moon with your ruler illuminating you, where you're headed now in this yearly sort of sense. A lot of it is involving, I think, your aspirations and or your network circles, especially if that's been an area you've been developing or working hard towards the past couple of years. But also with your self-expression, I think in the short term, expressing yourself, having a bit of fun, maybe some of you romantic energy, that type of, creative energy there, really illuminating at this time as well. And that's where the source of prana is, the life force, and the focus with all of that. Things moving forward with your possibilities, open-mindedness, expanding your horizons mentally, spiritually, or quite literally, or even emotionally. With Jupiter going direct, which is very nice. Venus helping you enjoy a bit of your personal life, and Mars helping you be very direct and take care of things and get things done involving your work and routine. All right, so Capricorns, have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share down below. But sending you all my very best, and I will see you all next time. Take care. Aquarius, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's talk about this full moon because it is conjunct your ruler Saturn, emphasizing the fact that I think over the past couple years, a lot of you have maybe felt limited with your career or your productive life, or you're having to be patient with this area, take things slow and steadily. So now you get this status check, this full moon, this awareness of this area in terms of, okay, how's everything going with this? How can you continue to take the patient, slow and steady steps towards your career goals or your productive life? And fundamentally with you, because we are talking about your ruler here. So you're being illuminated at this time in terms of what you want in life, what are your short-term goals and your long-term goals, and again, how you can continue to cultivate them. This is also a harvest time for those of you who did start something new involving your career 6 months ago. Or new in general, because the last new moon would have likely been very close to your ruler anyways. So, past 6 months, anything cultivating with that, I think there will be to a degree, actually, for all of you to some degree. And just, harvest, enjoy, but you're going to notice that some things are working, some things are not. But continue to put energy into what has cultivated, and what hasn't, and you still want to cultivate. Just be patient with. Take it one step at a time. This is all what Saturn's about, and this is all a yearly cycle as well. For the next 6 months, you can continue to cultivate these career things, or again, things relating to what you want in life in general. Now, this whole cycle is about your home life. It's about your family, perhaps, or your health. So I think that's, fundamentally what this whole month is about, in the sense that I think you continue to spend some time at home or learn about your health, maybe, these types of things which can help cultivate your foundations, your home, your family, your health. And, anything you do find like a root in your life, and even reflecting on the past a little bit, and even your personal life in general. So continuing with that, that's your source of energy and awareness with that, the full moon, with things continuing to be harvested, or at least continuing to move forward for you involving these personal things in your life. All right, so speaking of kind of personal, Jupiter going direct in your 8th house. This is the house of shared resources. It's the house of healing and connecting to life on a deeper level and being vulnerable in life. And all of this is really where the opportunities are. You may have not noticed them since February, if it's felt like before February, going into last year. Did you see opportunities with shared resources, other people's resources? Did you see any opportunities with transformation, healing, vulnerability, connecting to life on a deeper level? Well, all that starts to shift again now. And it does take time with Jupiter, but there could be something shifting on Friday where now you're seeing the opportunities here to really, yes, connect to what matters most in life. Have a bit of trust in maybe your relationships, whether it's on a material level, but also on an emotional level as well. And anything that is about just really connecting to what matters most fundamentally is what the 8th house is. And learning more about yourself psychologically, breaking some patterns. Jupiter's helping you do this. Again, Jupiter makes this easier because it's a very deep house, but you have a benefic Jupiter expanding this area, making it easier. And so throughout this process for these coming months, as you continue to dive deep, do this inner transformation, break these past patterns, you're going to find this very beneficial for you, your relationships, and I think just fundamentally all areas of life. All right, so along with that, Mars is in your 5th house since last weekend. A lot of you are very direct with your communication, or let me just say your self-expression, actually. Your self-expression for about the next month. So very good there for expressing yourself in direct ways. Also your creative pursuits, anything that motivates you, that you're passionate about, that you enjoy, that you create. That's where the yeah, the drive is, the motivation, the intentfulness. And I think you can certainly be unlocking that this week with Venus sextiling up to Mars. Could even be enjoying that self-expression, creative energy perhaps. And Venus is going into your third house of communication. So you could be enjoying maybe reading, writing, learning in general. Business, trade could be enjoyable if it's on that level for you. But anything that is about really just learning and treating life as a learning process is really where the enjoyment is. And maybe even opportunities around Friday to continue to learn and also continue to express yourself in whatever capacity that is for you. All right, so Aquarius, that's the week in a nutshell. Generally what you got is you got a full moon in your 10th house of career. Great to do a status check with everything productive in your life. And again, taking the slow and steady steps towards that. And also just with you, your long-term goals, your short-term goals, and just taking it one step at a time with Saturn. This is all about your home and your personal life or your health at this time. So things are certainly continuing to cultivate with that. Great to focus on that. Things moving forward with depth, vulnerability, openness with life fundamentally, just helping you transform, break some cycles, really connect to what matters most. And Mars in the 5th, great for self-expression, anything that you're interested in or is close to your heart. And Venus on Friday, shifting into your third house of learning, reading, writing, communication, all of that can be enjoyable. All right, so Aquarius, have a great week. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link down in the comments section for that. But sending you all my very best, and I will see you all next week. Take care. All right, Pisces, welcome to your weekly forecast. So you've got, first of all, your ruler Jupiter going direct. Very nice. If you felt like since February things have been more internalized, which does happen once a year, so it's not a major thing. But if you have felt a little bit more internalized or like you're redoing, rethinking things in your life, that all starts to move forward for you now this week. Jupiter going direct on Friday in your 7th house of relationships. So if you've seen opportunities prior to February of this year, so February before that, going into last year, if you saw some opportunities with relationships, one-to-one connections, partnerships, this type of stuff, or just hopeful and inspired in this area, that's what's coming back. Jupiter going direct is going to bring more of those opportunities to the outward environment. So give it time, of course, especially because, again, it's your ruler, so it takes time for this, your ruler to gain speed, very slow-moving planet. But there could be on Friday some sort of shift of shifting to you where you're feeling a bit, like you're coming out of what you've learned these past few months. And then also with relationships. And then also quite possibly with your career, if you have been reworking anything since February regarding that. So the full moon is in your 9th house of thinking big, seeing opportunities in your life. Even though it's been more of a serious area, you've had Saturn in your 9th house the past 2 years. Suggesting patience with the things that you do want to cultivate, that you're inspired towards, patience regarding things that you might be learning in the sense of higher learning, wisdom, university for some of you, and also patience too with the adventurous stuff, travel, adventure, taking all of this one step at a time. So yes, you can have an expansive view, expand your horizons, tap into the spirit for life. But it's doing it with patience with Saturn. It's taking time. It's one step at a time. And you can certainly have this insight about this at this time, around Friday. So see that life does need us to be spirited, adventurous, open-minded, but with groundedness. And continue to see the big picture. Continue to cultivate. If there is anything that is harvesting at this time involving these 9th house things, continue to cultivate them as we move forward in this solar cycle, this yearly cycle. Now, a lot of this is involving learning because you've got all this concentration of your 3rd house right now, which is emphasizing practical learning, maybe reading, writing for a lot of you, courses for some of you, communication, language, learning anything that's practical, and even business and trade for some of you. So whatever that is for you. But that's where the new moon was about a week or two ago. So continuing to develop that. That's the source of energy, practical knowledge, exchanging, learning, especially with Mercury here, really giving you that good practical mind as well. So looking at this from Venus and Mars, you've had Mars in your 4th house since last weekend. So your energy levels might be at a bit of a low right now in a yearly sense, but the energy is best channeled into your personal life, I feel like. So for about the next month, things that motivate you involving your home or your location or family or your health. Health is a very important thing of the 4th house. These are the areas you can put energy into, set intentions with, motivate yourself towards or with, and you're going to find that gives you prana. That gives you the drive that is, where the motivation is. Because again, Mars is at the bottom of the chart, Sun's at the bottom of the chart. These planets like to be at the top, but it's only because these are more personal things in life. But if we channel that energy into the personal things in life, then we unlock that energy there. All right, so along with that, Venus is going into your 2nd house. So you'll have Venus still in your 1st house up until Friday. A lot of you are feeling good, looking good, enjoying a bit of beauty in your life, whatever that means for you personally. But on Friday and for about the next month, Venus will be in your 2nd house of finances, of attracting finances, maybe your material security, enjoying things in your life, having a bit of that, gratitude for what you have, but also to really mustering up your inner resources in order to cultivate the things you value. So this is all very beneficial, very easy. Wherever Venus transits, it invokes that area. So some of you might have some financial opportunities through this time, maybe on Friday, in fact, with Mars sextiling Venus, or investment opportunities, or maybe you're just feeling quite grounded that you can, yes, enjoy the things in your life. And it's a fantastic time to do that within reason and balance, of course, while Venus is in the 2nd. All right, so Pisces, that is the week in a nutshell. The way I would sum this up for you is that you do have this full moon in your 9th house of essentially the spirit for life. All right, everything that is about cultivating an open mind, expanding our horizons, adventurous spirit perhaps, even though it's very grounded for you, which is the Saturn here. All right, making sure that all that more fiery stuff is done responsibly, patiently, in the big picture. And now you get the status check about all of that and awareness about all of that as well. And continuing to learn is fantastic with all this 3rd house energy, particularly about practical knowledge, but you've got the theoretical and the practical this week. So bringing in the both possible and the practical stuff. Mars in your 4th house, helping you really unlock motivation towards your personal life. Venus in your 2nd, helping you attract the things you value in life. And I would say most fundamentally, your ruler going direct. Since February, if you've been reworking, rethinking things, I think now starting to push forward, move forward, and a lot of that could be involving relationships for you. All right, so Pisces, have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a personal reading, there is a link down in the comment section for that. But wishing you all the very best, and I will see you all next week. Take care.